Laser sights will make you a more accurate and confident shooter by providing visual feedback on sight alignment and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, Tom's talking about the Spirit of Hope Award that Hava recently received. Also, a new TV show with contestants trying to recreate historical weapons, rifles for your next hunt, and more. And as always, call in to 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, and range reports. And now, locked and loaded, here's the star of the show, Tom Gresham.
All righty, we're back. We're here with you, Tom Gresham. It is Gun Talk. So glad that you could be with us. It is it's a great day. It's a beautiful Sunday because we do this live on Sunday. If you're getting it on another day, it just means you're hearing it recorded, and that's cool as well. If you would like to join us while we are actually on the air, we're Sundays 2 to 5 Eastern. And all you have to do is give us a call, 866-TALK-GUN. If you're listening to me right now, then by golly, you ought to be able to do that. We're going to be open lines for a lot of the show today, 866-TALK-GUN or just Tom Talk Gun. That'll get you in here. We also are going to be visited by a number of guests talking about some interesting things. We have a new TV show we're going to be announcing, not ours. It's a cool show on Discovery Channel where they're going to have artisans making arms from different eras. That's going to be cool. We also have some news about a veterans group, a group that's helping veterans get out into the field, shooting, hunting, etc. And we'll be talking about some new guns. Speaking of new guns, we just returned from the NASGW show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers. Who is that? Well, a lot of people know about the SHOT Show, and that's a show where manufacturers, gun makers, trigger makers, optics, duck calls, pretty much anything that has to do with the hunting or shooting or even law enforcement world, they demonstrate their products to dealers. Well, the NASGW show is different. It's for sporting goods wholesalers, and there are only 30, 35 companies that are the wholesalers or distributors. And those are the ones that work in what is called the two-step distribution business. Now, that's kind of inside baseball stuff, but all it means is that your local gun store doesn't order directly from the gun maker. Your store orders from a distributor, the middleman, if you will. Why would they do that? Well, this way, these manufacturers don't have to warehouse everything and sell directly and ship directly to dealers. And rather than dealing with 1,000 or 3,000 dealers, they deal with 30 or 35 companies that they sell to. It all works out in the end. But this is kind of an early look at what's new out there, what's cool, what's going on. And we had a chance to look at some of the new stuff while we were there. We were actually doing video, live video, through much of the week on the Gun Talk Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you want to go see what we did and actually get a look at a lot of this stuff, just go to the Gun Talk YouTube channel. Always a good thing to do anyway, because we have, well, actually, I think thousands and thousands of videos there about everything from shooting, new guns, self-defense, all sorts of stuff. Which, oh yeah, by the way, first-person defender, we have new shows breaking every week now through the end of November. So, and I know how much you love the First-Person Defender series, where we take just regular old people and throw them into situations that are where they get attacked, or there's an attempted kidnapping or a carjacking or an ATM robbery or whatever. And we see what they do. It's kind of interesting to see how they react, because people think they know what they're going to do. Yeah, well, they think they know what we're going to do, and we kind of know what they're going to do. And so as a result, we set up the scenarios to fool them, to trick them. We offer diversions. We give them red herrings, if you will. No, that's not really the bad guy, but you don't know who the bad guy is. And then when it starts, the shooting starts, and it gets real interesting real fast. First-Person Defender, it's available on our YouTube channel right now. One of the, and man, we got to look at some cool new guns. Looked at some that have been out for a few years that you may not have heard of, maybe smaller companies, and we have some of that information in our videos that we did there. we also were looking at some new ones. One that kind of got my attention, and you may want to jump over to their website, Fold AR. Sounds weird, Foldar, folder. Okay, is it folder, fold AR? I don't know. But what it is, it's a folding AR. Yeah. Okay, so what's the big deal? Well, when you see it, you're going to go, you got to be kidding me. Folds up to, I don't know, 9, 10 inches. The stock folds and the barrel folds. So basically, everything that attaches to the receiver folds around it. It's pretty amazing. And they've got pistol versions. They've got SBR versions. Foldar, Foldar.com. You got to take a look at that thing. It's pretty darn cool is what it is. It's always interesting to me. Every time I think, yeah, we've kind of seen everything they can do. And then we go to a show like this, and there's somebody in some booth, often a little booth, where you go, well, that's just cool. Because somebody sat back shooting, got done shooting at the end of the day at the range and going, what if? It'd be cool if. And then they start noodling. And, where most people would say, no, that's not possible. There's always somebody who says, well, maybe it is. Maybe that is possible. The truth of it is, firearms have pretty much always come from tinkerers. Originally, it was lock makers, like locksmiths, because they were the only ones who could make the intricate works that were required for a firearm action. And so we called the action part the lock. And from that, we get in the English idiom, the phrase lock, stock, and barrel, which means the action, the stock, and the barrel. Lock, stock, and barrel. And we use that phrase all the time now to kind of mean, well, if you're getting everything, you're going to get the whole thing lock, stock, and barrel. Well, it was these tinkerers that came up with this stuff. That's where we got a lot of our guns over the years, over the centuries, actually. Pretty cool. Take a look at Fold AR. Also, let's see, Walther bringing back the PPKS. It's been out of production for about 4 years. Very cool. If you're old enough to remember the original James Bond movies, that's what he used. Just a really good gun, and actually it'll be, I think, a really good option for some people for concealed carry. So you might want to take a look at that as well. 866 Talk Gun is our magic number here. Always looking for range reports, anything you've been out shooting. If you've had a chance to take somebody out to the range, could be introducing somebody, or just taking family members out, and give us a kind of a report on your day at the range. Love to get that. Again, 866 Talk Gun, or call me at Tom Talk Gun. I'm Tom Gresham.
Stand for the Second Amendment with Franklin Armory. Their 3-position BFS Gen 3 trigger is one of the hottest products for your AR, HK, ACR, CZ, and B&T in curved and straight variations. In position 3, fire 1 round on pull and 1 round on release. Ideal for both tactical and competition use. Get a 10% discount on everything with the code word GUNTALK at franklinarmory.com.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at brownells.com/retro.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Want great deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today. With Gundealio, you can search for deals, listen to the Gun Talk podcast, watch gun videos, read gun news, and get notifications right to your phone about deals and special offers. Save money on the products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gundealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Pure accuracy. That's what a great rifle is all about. That's the Mossberg MVP Precision Rifle. The MVP Precision has it all. A bolt action that accepts AR-style magazines, sub-MOA accuracy, aluminum chassis system with slim profile handguard, Mossberg's lightning bolt action trigger system, chambered for the 6.5 Creedmoor, 224 Valkyrie, 308 and 223. Available in 24 and 26-inch threaded barrels. For your long-range precision needs, it's the MVP Precision. Mossberg.com. That's Mossberg.com.
All right, back with you, 866 Talk Gun or Tom Talk Gun. That'll get you in there. I'm Tom Gresham. The show is, in fact, Gun Talk, so let's talk about guns. When I was in Pittsburgh, I was able to run over and see the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall and Museum. And it reminded me, boy, it's a big building. It's pretty cool. They've got a big auditorium with lots of seating. And on the back wall is the entire Gettysburg Address written into the wall. Very neat. But I was thinking about that, thinking, well, firearms museums. We're going to be talking about firearms museums in just a bit anyway. What are your favorites? Because I know that there are a lot of museums around that have guns in them. Are you a firearms museum buff when you travel? Do you try to find cool museums that have stuff with guns? Or do you just kind of happen upon them? And if you have, I'd love to get, if you've seen really good museums featuring firearms, we probably ought to start a list. I don't know. I mean, there may be an existing list somewhere. I just don't have it. But I'd love to get your firsthand reports on museums you've been to that you thought were cool. Now, one that's just down the street, but very local to us here in the New Orleans area is the World War II Museum. It started as the D-Day Museum. Then it increased to the Pacific and everything else. It's now the World War II Museum, and it's world class, definitely worth going to. But what are the museums you have been to where you found that they had an interesting collection of guns? Wouldn't necessarily have to be a firearms museum, a gun museum, but a place where you went and went, well, look at that. That's a cool display. I know there are a number of them around the country, so I'd love to get your reports on that. Okay, let me find this story because this one was interesting. This was, I want to make sure I start at the beginning. What's new is old again, or what's old is new again. The gun ban industry has, I would say, rediscovered, but they just bring back the old stuff. They never give up. When you think, oh yeah, okay, they're off that. They're never off of banning anything. They just switch to the thing that they think they can get at the moment. Well, turns out, for whatever reason, and trust me on this, they coordinate, they're back to ammunition. Well, why would they do that? Well, they're saying, well, we may not be able to ban guns, but without ammunition, the guns won't be any good. They won't be able to do anything. Okay. And then they start, it's interesting how they'll start with a premise like that. Well, if we could just regulate ammunition. Of course, they've done it in a lot of states where you have to have a license to buy ammunition, which is nuts. The idea being, well, we'll get to the end game on this in just a second. But what they say is, well, we need to ban ammunition, or we need to regulate ammunition, or we need to make it harder to buy ammunition, or we need to make sure that you have a background check, or we need to make sure that you're 21 years old, or we need to make sure that you have a license before you can buy ammunition. And their thinking is simple, is, well, once people have guns, they have guns forever, but they shoot up their ammo, and they have to replenish it. Once they replenish it, if they can't, then their gun is basically a blunt object, a club, and it's not really a functioning firearm. So why don't we go after the ammo? And then I start seeing these things where they say, well, ammunition, the thing about it is it's expendable, it's a consumable, and of course it has a short shelf life. At which point I went, excuse me, do my Scooby-Doo thing here. What? A short shelf life? I think and I think they probably know that's not true, but I think they're doing that in order to move the needle on the media. Because the media doesn't know, and they never ask. They never say, well, is that correct? They really do swallow what the gun ban lobby gives them without ever asking for clarification or for confirmation or to find out if it's actually true. And of course, I guess what would be short? What would be short shelf life? To me, that would be a year or two. When in fact, ammunition is good for decades. If you store it in a cool, dry environment, 50 years, maybe 100 years, it's okay. Certainly 50 years is not an issue. I don't consider a half a century a short shelf life. But their idea, now here's where I get to, let me explain. They always have this is what we say, why we're doing it. This is the why. But it's never really the truth, okay? Because they say, well, we could regulate guns by limiting access to ammunition. That's not really what's going on. What's really going on, if you look at the long game, is if we can make it really more difficult to go through the process, if we can make it more cumbersome, if we can make it more challenging to buy ammunition, if we can make it to where it's just a royal pain in the rear, some people, maybe a lot of people, will simply say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go get photographed, fingerprinted, have a background check to buy a box of 22 ammo. I'm out. That's the bottom line, is they want to make it so difficult, so onerous, so much of a hassle that people will start basically backing out and saying, I don't know, I'm going to play golf. I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to subject myself to this anymore. I'm a good person, and I'm just not going to do it. Well, cool. They go, that's great. Because the fewer and fewer and fewer gun owners there are, active gun owners, then the smaller and smaller is the political constituency for the Second Amendment. That's when the long game comes into play. That's the thing. Let's go to line 3, where Joe's with us out of Georgia. Hello, Joe. You made it on to Gun Talk. What kind of problem you having there, man?
Hey, so I've got a Beretta 92FS. I bought it because I carried it in the Army. I like it. Mm-hmm. I was wondering if you'd run across anybody else with issues with the RIP rounds in 9mm.
RIP, is that the one? Is that the round that kind of fragments and goes into like a different pieces when it hits?
Yeah, it's like a copper truncated projectile, and apparently is a 90.
Okay, you're dropping out on your cell phone there. I'm going to try you again here. What's going on? Is it feeding? Is it a feeding problem in your gun? I think we lost him with the wonders of cell phones. All right, here's the deal. If you have, and first of all, I am not a fan of this particular ammo. If you have ammo that doesn't feed well in your gun is speaking to you. It's saying, I don't like this. There's only 100 other kinds of ammo you can try. Go try something else. First order of business is it must feed, it must fire. It must feed, it must fire. If it doesn't do that, then ignore it, discard it, take it off the list, give the ammo away to somebody you really don't like, or whatever. But it's got to work, And I don't care how much you say, well, this is cool, that looks great, this is hyped, I've seen the videos. It doesn't feed in your gun. Your gun's telling you, don't use this ammo. It's really a simple deal. That's when you switch. And that's why I always say, look, you need to shoot your gun, your self-defense gun, 200 to 500 times before you trust your life on it. And I want to put about at least 50 rounds through it with my carry ammo, all right? So, yeah, by the way, it's a good point. The RIP ammo, really? As in rest in peace? You want to be on the witness stand describing why you chose that? Why are you going to make it harder for yourself to stay out of jail? I don't get that. Line 2, Bob's with us out of Montana. Hey, Bob, you're on Gun Talk. Museums, talk to me.
Yes, the Cody. I think that's all I need to say.
Yes.
That is the premier. I've been to a lot of them. And if you want to see, if you love firearms like I do and you do, that is the place. You know, get a motel for maybe 3 or 4 days to go through it properly.
Well, you know, they don't sell a one-day ticket to the Buffalo Bill Center of the West museums. You can only get a 2-day ticket because they figure you're going to need at least that. And what Bob's talking about this, the Cody Firearms Museum is only 1/5 of the whole thing there. But it's amazing, isn't it?
It's the only place I've been able to find everything from a 3-inch French percussion cap muff gun for a lady to a Colt Gatling gun.
Well, you know, your timing is perfect because in about 10 minutes, or actually less now, right here on Gun Talk, we're going to have the curator of the Cody Firearms Museum right here with us talking about something that's new and cool. So if you keep listening, we're going to have Ashley join us, okay?
I will be right here, sir. Thank you.
Perfect, exactly. I mean, it is one of my favorite museums. I always say that if that museum were in New York, they would have 20 times the visitors they have. And they still have a lot of visitors, but they're in Cody, Wyoming. If you get a chance, the Cody Firearms Museum, part of the whole Buffalo Bill Center of the West Museum there. There are 5 museums under one roof. It is really cool. But what other museums have you been to that had firearms you thought, well, that's cool. I didn't know they had those there. Or they could be, of course, military museums as well. Love to hear what you have seen. We probably should start building a list that we could put online where people could go, oh, yeah, I'd like to go there. Hey, don't go far. When we come back, we got some news about a brand new TV show about guns that I know you're going to enjoy.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
Welcome back. Tom Gresham here. It is Gun Talk. If you'd like to join us, 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. A lot of things going on. We'll have some more news as we go forward. But actually breaking some news for you right now. You may have heard of this. You may not. But there's a really exciting new television show just about to start. And it features guns and weapons of many different types. And joining us right now is one of our dear old friends, a frequent guest here on Gun Talk, Ashley Hlebinsky. She is the Chief Curator of the Cody Firearms Museum in Cody, Wyoming. Hey, Ashley, how are you?
I'm doing well, Tom. How are you?
I am great. It's funny, we just, right before you got on, I said, hey, we ought to talk about some of the different museums around the country that have firearms, and we ought to build a list and all of that. And, I asked people, call in, with your favorite one, and the first call is, hey, Cody, that's the one, man. Go there. And the guy says, but you're going to need 3 or 4 days. Just plan on that.
Oh, that's too funny. And I didn't even pay the person to say that.
I know. Well, you guys are actually are you still in the middle of doing renovations and remodels and everything right now?
Oh, my gosh, yes. We are in the middle of the construction. I'm actually submitting content for the new museum today. And we did just install last week a really large, there's about 500 guns in it, temporary exhibition. It's the new CFM for the time, if you will, back in the first location that was in the Firearms Museum at the center. So when the collection came in the 1970s and they built the first museum, which was called the Winchester Arms Museum, it was actually under our Buffalo Bill Museum. And so we have a temporary exhibition that harkens back to that original museum. And we'll be working on the construction for the main footprint of the Cody Firearms Museum, and we'll be reopening July 6, 2019.
July 6, 2019. Sounds like a really good excuse to have a party.
Right? I know. 4th of July.
Yeah, really.
Museum, so.
And for those who don't know, 4th of July in Cody, Wyoming is a thing. Trust me on this.
Oh, it's really cool. And it's the 100th anniversary of the Stampede next year as well, which is our professional rodeo that comes through town. And so it's just going to be a week-long celebration and all culminating ultimately in our opening on that Saturday.
Wow, now would be the time to get your hotel rooms. Holy cow. That sounds great.
Yes.
Okay, so Discovery Channel has a new TV series about guns and other types of armament, and you are a big part of it. Tell people what's going on and what the name of it is.
Yes, the show is called Master of Arms, and it is a weapons-making competition show. And on the show, we've got bladesmiths, gunsmiths, and blacksmiths who kind of show up, and they have no idea what they're making that day. And they could be challenged to make a gun, to make a bow, or a blade. And it's really exciting. I'm actually one of the judges on the show. I'm the historical weapons expert on the show. And it premieres on November 2nd at 10 p.m.
This is kind of like a cooking show with guns where the chefs show up and they don't know what they're going to make, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We've got 3 contestants every episode, and they come to our armory, and they get a quick draw challenge, and that is a challenge that they have to make in front of the judges. And they've got anywhere between 3 and 6 hours, depending on what the challenge is, and they have to make a functional, battle-ready weapon by the end of that. And then after that round, our host, Zeke Stout, who's also our firearms specialist, he tests those weapons out, and we ultimately deliberate and eliminate one of the contestants. And then the final 2 contestants go into a master build challenge, which is a 4-day challenge, so a much bigger, more complicated weapon. And they've got 4 days to make that in one of our workshops. And at the end of the 4 days, the 3 judges, Zeke Stout, Trenton Ty, and myself, we go out to the field and meet up with our friend Nicholas Irving, who is a former special operations sniper, and he tests those weapons out in the field. And then we select one of those 2 people to be titled Master of Arms, and they win $10,000.
Cool. Give us an idea of, obviously they're not going to make like a full-blown modern gun like out of a chunk of metal, are they?
Well, it depends on the weapon, actually. Most of our weapons are historic, so they could have to, completely forge, a knife or a sword or a blade, or something even weirder. If you watch the trailers, you'll notice we pull out some very odd weapons from history. But they do, in the show, they make firearms. But then they make flintlock firearms and different types of combination weapons. But sometimes they'll have the inside of the barrel board to spec, but they're carving the wood. They're putting the actions together, chiseling down the actions. They are doing a lot of work on these weapons.
Sounds like you've lined up some really top-level craftsmen. Are there any women competing?
There is a woman on the show. We've got some pretty amazing craftsmen on the show. It really impresses me because I'm a total book nerd. And so one of the things that I decided when I became a historian was that I wanted to know how the firearms were used, but also how they functioned. And one of the best ways to do that is to learn how to shoot historic and modern guns. And so I've always kind of had a practical application to my study of history, but I haven't had a chance to really make a lot of early weaponry in the past. And so getting to watch these craftsmen kind of fuse modern and old techniques together is pretty spectacular.
Well, how did you get involved in this thing in the first place?
Oh, gosh. So last August, I got a call from a casting agent. As you know, Tom, I do a lot of docuseries and talking head kind of stuff for gun stories and other documentaries, and I've been on your shows. And they called me and they said, we've got this great concept for a new weapons-making, gunsmithing show. And I remember when they said it, I was like, I don't think that'll happen. And I ate my words. And Discovery Channel was really excited about it. And we didn't hear anything for a while because, TV is a lot of, like you wait for a while and then everything happens really quick and then you wait for a while. And so come January, actually during SHOT Show, I got the phone call that said, hey, can you come down to Connecticut next week and test out? You're one of the finalists to be one of the judges on the show. And so I went down, and there were some pretty amazing people that were competing for the 3 judge slots. And they cast the 3 of us and Nicholas Irving, like I said. And we filmed 5 weeks, 8 episodes in April, May, and here we are.
It's exciting. It's going to premiere on Friday night, November the 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern. Back it up for your time zone on the Discovery Channel, and you'll be able to see our dear friend Ashley Hlebinsky be right there. Ashley, this is exciting. I cannot wait to see it. I'm going to set my DVR.
Good. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Very good. Well, congratulations. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, you take care. All right, the magic number here is 866-TALK-GUN. We are open lines for you if you'd like to join us. Museums you've been to, what have you been shooting? Anything you've been buying recently, whether it's a gun, ammo, scopes, everything else. We'd love to know what you're stocking up on these days. Again, 866-TALK-GUN.
When the U.S. military's elite units and law enforcement agencies across the globe demanded innovation and reliability, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. When world champion professional shooters demanded precision accuracy, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. So it's no surprise more and more civilian gun owners are refusing to settle for anything less. They're choosing Sig Sauer firearms, ammunition, electro-optics, suppressors, air guns, and training. Sig Sauer. Never settle.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Your everyday carry advantage. The new M&P Shield M2.0 pistol from Smith & Wesson has the enhancements of the M2.0 line with aggressive grip texture and a crisp and lighter trigger pull. Extremely thin and lightweight, you can carry it all day. Also available with an integrated crimson trace laser in 9 or 40. The M&P Shield M2.0. Visit smith-wesson.com.
Well, this one is interesting. Let me make sure I get this up right. Remember different states passing state laws basically saying, look, we're going to be immune to federal gun control laws. If a gun is made in our state and it's sold in our state and it's purchased in our state and it's used in our state and it never goes out of our state, then we are declaring that federal gun laws do not apply. A lot of people applauded. Yeah, that's the way we're going to show them. Yeah. And I said, this is meaningless. And people said, oh, Tom, what's wrong with you? And I kept saying, trust me, this is a feel-good, meaningless thing, and it's really pretty stupid. It's really pretty dumb on the face of it. Because you can't do that. Federal law supersedes. No. If the gun doesn't pass out of the state, then it doesn't impact the Commerce Clause, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, really? Okay, great. Well, that's great, except for the guys in Kansas who just got convicted of felonies, making and selling and buying suppressors, because they said, hey, Kansas, we've got this law that says if it's made here, sold here, stays in the state, then your NFA, your National Firearms Act of 1934, your laws about suppressors and machine guns don't apply to us. That was all well and good until the federal court says, nah, actually, no. Not true. And yes, you're convicted. So for those who, if you are in such a state, and if you are depending on that state law to protect you, here's a little heads up. That state law means nothing. Because the federal law supersedes, takes precedence. So there you go. Line 1, Justin's with us out of Granite City, Illinois. Justin, what's going on with you, man?
Well, a little while back, found out I was getting a divorce.
Okay.
And recently have met a wonderful woman, and I have a new addict in my midst.
Really?
Yes. I always told myself that if anything ever happened between my ex-wife and I, that I was going to find if and when the next woman would be into firearms. Because it's a very big part of my life.
Okay.
And she was raised in a hunting family, but never really was taught about firearms. And actually just had her out at the trap range yesterday, and broke about 70%. And found out she's a weirdo like you. She's right hand dominant, left eye dominant, right-handed.
Okay.
And, so that was a little bit different trying to work with, but yeah, it's.
Let me ask you that was she a shooter before you met her? I mean, she'd been around guns, but was she really a shooter?
Around them, but never really. Her father took her out and taught her about guns a little bit, just give her the experience. But never. But she always wanted to go hunting and things like that. But she never really pushed the subject, and her father never pushed it on her. And so now she's wanting to go bird hunt with me. She wants to learn about deer hunting. She's just diving in and really loves it.
Well, that's really interesting. How did you first broach the subject?
Well, I've just through a normal conversation, I brought up that I was a deer hunter. And then next thing I know, everything outdoors, she has an interest in camping as I do. And, usually people who camp tend to be, of the same mindset as shooters as well.
To some extent, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of, everything outdoors, just encompasses. And it just came up, and, she said, I've always been interested in that. And took her out to the range, and she broke a couple, turned and looked at me, smiled real big, and said, I like it. Teach me more. And so she's 5'3", I'm 6'1", so my gun didn't fit her very well at all.
Nope.
But I did tell her, we'll look into a different stock, because I actually just remember when I called you about that Krigoff and also the BT-99, I chose the BT. So I got it. So now my old trap gun, I'm probably going to be finding a shorter stock to put on there for her.
All right, I'm going to make a suggestion just to think about this, okay? Remember that just putting a short stock on it doesn't do it for any number of reasons. One is that the barrels may be long, it may be a little heavy. Look at the percentage of weight of a gun, of one of your guns versus your weight and then versus her weight. And imagine using that percentage on you. So you may be carrying a 12 or 16 pound gun if it's the same percentage of weight. So that's something to think about. Another is if she's shooting off the left shoulder, try to get a gun fitted to her. It will make all the difference in the world for shotguns. And then obviously to get her out and do some pistol shooting and some rifle shooting, you're going to have a whole bunch of fun in front of you. Look, congratulations on finding somebody who sounds like a real good fit for you, Justin. I am excited for you. And I wish you two nothing but a lot of good shooting and a lot of good fun and a great life together. I appreciate the report. That is great. 866 Talk Gun. Your range reports looking for information about museums you've been to. We have a couple of those coming up, as well as pretty much any other thing. Oh, also, are you going to buy anything new for this hunting season? Let me know. Back with you, line 3, Lee's at Upper Michigan. Hello, Lee. Museums, talk to me, man.
I got a couple that I keep going back to. One is the Chickamauga and Chattanooga Military Park outside of Chattanooga.
Yeah.
They have the Claude Fuller gun collection there, or part of it. It goes from colonial times up until the Korean War.
Wow.
And they got some interesting things there. They got well, of course they do. They have a sharps, they call it grain mill sharps, that had a mill in the stock. And I always heard it as in the buttstock. I always heard of it called the coffee mill sharps, but they call it grain mill sharps.
Right. I've never heard of grain mill. Yeah.
Yeah, and I go to look at that right away whenever I get there. And then they have some oddities from earlier times. And they also have a lot of Civil War stuff, including a Morse breech-loading carbine made by the State Military Works in Greenville, South Carolina. It's a caliber 50 rifle. It was made between 1862 and 1865, so while the hostilities were going on. And it's a very interesting-looking gun. It looks like a modern lever gun.
Wow.
I didn't remember it, and I went back there in June and took a couple pictures. And the thing about that is that lighting is very good. You can stand there and you can get pictures of everything, and there's very few that don't come out because the lighting
Don't you find it's interesting how often we discover that something we think has been around for a certain period of time, actually somebody did it many, many years before in guns. It's like it's hard to find something that's truly new.
It's not a lever gun. It just has a lever on it. It's a single shot, you know.
Okay.
But,
very cool.
And in fact, I'm not sure exactly how it works. But it reminds me of a lever gun.
Well, great. Now you mentioned
there's lots of.
Yeah, go ahead to the other museum. Go ahead.
The other one is in Northfield, Minnesota. It's about the Northfield raid where the James Gang and the Younger brothers tried to take over the bank and take the money. You know, no insurance then. They stole the money; it was gone.
Right.
Townspeople found out, and they shot them up pretty extensively and killed some of them. One of the guys that got away had, I think, 11 wounds or something. They ran him down in a swamp.
I was going to say, didn't the townspeople shoot him up in the street?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's where there's a guy up in. He was attending medical school in Ann Arbor, but he was back on vacation, and he got a carbine from the guy from the hotel and went up to upstairs window and did a lot of damage with that. And some other guys shot their horses and made it sort of inconvenient to get out of town with the money they managed to steal, you know. And then they caught most of them. The James boys got away, but the Younger brothers are rolled up.
Wow.
And I've been there twice, and it's always, they had the gun that the guy from the hotel gave the doctor.
Right.
On display for a year, and I managed to catch it last year before.
Well, that's pretty neat.
While it was there on display. Yeah, it was a Civil War single shot 50 cal carbine.
And see, I'm listening to you describe this, and this is the whole deal. We go to these museums, we find these interesting guns, and you come back, it sticks with you. This is why we go to these. Hey, Lee, I got to run, but thank you so much. That is very cool. A couple of other museums out there, and they may not be necessarily firearms museums, but they're museums that have an aspect of firearms in them. And of course, that's frankly a significant portion of the history of not just the U.S., but the world, can be told, part of it can be told through the development of firearms, whether that's the Western expansion from the Kentucky/Pennsylvania rifle to the blunderbuss to military arms, all the rest of it. If you have a favorite museum or a place you've been, you're going, well, look at that. That's pretty cool. I'd love to know about it. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. Also, when we come back, we'll be open lines looking for the information. Are you buying anything or have you bought anything for the upcoming hunting season? New guns? Tell us about it.